Do you use VoIP systems or other forms of comms in your business? I'm guessing the answer is yes. So over the years, we've found all kinds of implementations, some good, some not so good. So here are a couple of little ideas we've had that may be able to help you out as a business. Firstly, this is something I'm kind of obsessed with. Are you paying for stuff you're not using? So just some examples for you. Did you, or we did once, we saw a customer who had a warehouse. In the corner of the warehouse was a desk where someone had worked for many years who used a fax machine. Problem is that person didn't work there anymore, the desk wasn't there anymore, and the socket the fax machine was plugged into wasn't even there anymore. There was no evidence that a fax machine had ever even been there. But they're still paying for it. They're still paying for the fax line. This happens all the time. You end up with BT Red Care systems that aren't used anymore, the phone line that was installed that the fire alarm used, or that the lift emergency intercom used. All these systems still paid for, but not used. We've had customers come to us in the past wanting us to rationalize their systems. Then we look and we find there's 3 broadband lines in one building, and they're not using 2 of them. This is surprisingly common. And the good news for you is making sure you're paying the right amount per minute on your calls, making sure you've not got unnecessary phone lines, etc., etc. This is a process that you only really need to do a big exercise on like once every year. So I do recommend setting aside some time for you to talk to not only your telecoms company or your IT company, but also your finance department, because your telecoms company will tell you what they're billing you for. But there are plenty of times where you're paying your telecoms company, but your finance department is paying some other legacy telecoms company that no one dares mess with because they're worried it might break something, or because we've always paid them. So remember that your telecoms company can only advise you on what they are billing you for. You might have other providers that you'd forgotten about. One of the classic ones is BT. People always seem to have a contract with BT that they've forgotten to cancel. So spend some time every year, meet with your comms company, but also meet with your finance team to see if they're paying for any comms expenses or any unknown expenses to well-known comms providers. You can do a lot of this yourself in-house, but to be frank, we often do it as a consulting thing for our customers because you can really put some time into it. But the good news is there's usually a good ROI there. You can normally get your money back for stuff you're unnecessarily purchasing within the year. And that's the first thing for you. Second thing is you can be a little more efficient on some of your phones. So, for example, if you have 32 outbound lines connected to your phone system, or 64 or whatever, is that the correct number? Do you need that many lines? It could be that you only ever peak your 32 line phone system, it only ever peaks at 20. So you could probably cancel 5 lines without any concern. Additionally, SIM cards. If you had, in case of one customer, they had 500 SIM cards and each one of them had I think it was a 10 gigabyte limit. Now, it turned out people were going nowhere near their 10 gigabyte limit. Nowhere near. So some people were, sure, but some people were barely using it. It was just for emails, that's fine. So 500 SIMs, 10 gigabytes each. So we recommended an aggregated tariff to them, specifically a 1 terabyte aggregated tariff. Now, 500 SIMs multiplied by 10 gig is 5 terabytes, but we only gave them 1 because they only needed 1 in the aggregate. Across all the SIMs, the aggregated deals mean all the SIMs share a pool of data. So those who use it a lot use more than their allowance, but those who barely use it, they're helping everyone else out. So you can get aggregated SIM deals for your companies. And a lot of times, I hope you're already on this, you're already there, but if not, I hope to save you something. Next, advanced functionality. Does your CRM system and your phone system talk to each other? I would hope so. That's a fairly standard feature that's been around forever. It means the sales team can just click on the prospect and it'll make the outbound call for them. It means when the prospect calls up, their information just pops up on the screen and it's all ready for you. But there are so many other things you can do. Have you got it hooked into Power BI for your dashboarding? Have you got it hooked into all your KPIs? Have you got the dashboards up on the wall? And if you do have a dashboard up on the wall, is it showing you data that's actually useful. There can be a lot of "we've always done it that way" mentality, where you have dashboards all the way up around an office which serve no actual purpose. But integrating your phone system with dashboarding is a powerful tool. Investigating what functionality your phone system has versus what it needs. It could be that you could downgrade your license, or it could be you could upgrade your license and have some fantastic advanced functionality available to you and your whole team. So again, on the day you allocate every year to look at your lines, look at your phone system and see what it can do. And also try to make time to speak with the major stakeholders of your organization, or at least the department heads of the organization, and ask them what it is that would really make their life easier that could be done through IT or telecoms. You may find there's some little gems in there that can really help people out. Some businesses have invested big time in AI on their phone systems, where you say AI is such a catch-all term these days, but they've invested in AI on their phone systems, so you can ask a question when you call up and it will intelligently respond to you. Now, depending on your industry, I may have just said something sacrilegiously horrifying here, so I apologize if your industry would not take kindly to that. But there are plenty of industries where that would be appropriate, especially at scale. Especially it will help triage the calls and put through the right people. So keep an open mind about what is possible for your phone system to do, and get your IT consultant to investigate to see if there's a way of making anyone's lives easier. Just to expand on that, one last point on it is, when did you last call up your own company? Because you should try it. Call up your own company, maybe from a different phone to usual, so they don't all go, "Ooh, it's the boss." Press each number, see what happens, see what it's like to be a customer phoning up your own system. Because I tell you what, there are so many times out there where these phone systems are configured in a way that's quite oppressive to customers. And also, you might want to make sure your holidays are set up correctly, so all the bank holidays kick in properly. And maybe on your telecoms day, you could set up all the bank holidays for the rest of the year. Lastly, the last thing I'm going to mention on phones today is security. No video from an IT company would be complete without a section on security. There are just a couple of things you need to bear in mind. You need to secure your phone system like it was any other critical asset in your organization. If a hacker breaks into your phone system, that is a thing that happens. If a hacker breaks into your phone system, there's a couple of things they can do. One of them is they could divert all their calls to them and then divert them back to you, so that all your calls go via their call recorder first. And they can then use that for impersonation attacks or stealing customers. That happens, that does. Another thing they can do is they can break into your phone system and they can tell your phone system to call premium rate numbers in the middle of the night and spend all your money calling premium rate numbers that they owe. For reference, we've seen an attack take place where £300 or £400 was spent inside 15 minutes. So there are mitigations you can do against this. Talk to your comms provider. There are lots of things you can do to stop it. But have you investigated that? Has your IT company or your comms company already dealt with that for you? Ask them what measures they've taken to stop you from someone breaking into the phone system and spending all your money. And finally, the physical handsets themselves, or the physical phone system itself, or the door intercom that's part of the phone system, or the tannoy system that's part of the phone system. These are all physical network devices. And from a network device, if a hacker breaks into it, you can use it as a beachhead to attack other things. So there are a few ways around that as well. Talk to your providers, see if they're doing it. But examples include keeping them up to date. And there's another technology called VLANs, which is where your networks, where you have one physical network, but multiple virtual networks on it. So your phones are on one virtual network, your corporate devices are on another virtual network, and so on. And these networks cannot talk to each other. It means if one network gets compromised, it doesn't attack another. It also allows you to do some funky prioritization stuff to make sure that people never have a bad phone call because one person's watching YouTube or something. There are lots of best practices out there, and I advise you to make time every year to spend time on your phone system, and do not shun your providers, ask their advice. Try to resist the upsell as well. Thank you, good luck, and call us if you would like any advice.